Hey everyone, welcome into an at-home edition of the Broncos Breakdown. Coming up on today's video, I want to talk about two things with you guys. One, we've got an NFL insider chiming in on who's leading the Bo Nix versus Jarrett Stidham quarterback battle. And then ESPN's Jeremy Fowler commented on Courtland Sutton trade rumors, and I want to share that with you all. Now, elephant in the room, I'm not in the studios, obviously, and I'm not even in my kitchen where I do most of my home videos. No, thanks to American Airlines, I have been canceled twice, and I'm going on hour 25, which should hopefully be only a 37-hour delay, but that's why I'm filming right now from my fiance's guest room, and also they have birds in this household, pet birds, yes. So if you hear some chirping in the background, I'm sorry. That's what I'm working with right now. But let's talk about Bo Nix first, okay? And James Palmer, an NFL analyst, he hopped on the Kay Adams podcast, Up and Adams, and talked about what he's hearing in the Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham quarterback battle. So I want to share that with you guys here. It comes from Sports Illustrated. They did a nice job of consolidating it. So I'll read it off to you guys and let you read along with me. He said, James Palmer says, "Let's first say that it's early, but this is probably the worst quarterback room in football. Mean, but maybe true. Now, that can change after this season, but that's just from the track record of the guys in the room. But the front runner is Bo Nix, because I really do believe, and this is outside of the norm for Sean Payton, to play rookies at really any position. But if you look at everything that's going on in Denver, the number one thing they need to figure out this season is if Bo Nix was the right pick at 12. That's it." Let me pause right there. I think James Palmer is trying to speak Bo Nix being a great pick for Denver into existence more than from what he's actually heard about the drills and the way Nix has looked compared to Jarrett Stidham. Nix has looked like the better quarterback. By a lot of accounts, Bo Nix has looked like a really young, a really developed quarterback for being a rookie, and he's not having an issue with picking up a very complex Sean Payton offense, and he's been making some nice throws, but no one has come out and said, hey, Bo Nix looks better than Jarrett Stidham every single time. Like, no, if you ask people what's really going on, the common answer is Jarrett Stidham has quietly looked like the more established veteran quarterback, and that's what you should expect. Like, it's OTAs, guys. Bo Nix is still learning the playbook, right? He is learning how to throw to his new wide receivers. Like, Jarrett Stidham is going to have the advantage early on. The question for Bo Nix is, can he eventually overtake Jarrett Stidham before NFL Week 1? There's no doubt in any of our minds that Bo Nix is going to start football games this season for the Broncos. The only question is, when? Right? Can Jarrett Stidham fight him off long enough to hold on to the Week 1 job? You'd be surprised how often rookie quarterbacks taken in round 1 do not start Week 1. I mean, Baker Mayfield was the first overall pick in the draft. He did not start Week 1. Justin Herbert, he didn't start Week 1. Tua didn't start. Like, there's a long list of quarterbacks taken in round 1 that did not start Week 1. So I don't think that Bo Nix is an obvious shoo-in to start Week 1. Now, those other quarterbacks, their competition in camp was not to the level of Jarrett Stidham. Like, no offense to Stidham, but he's not as established as some of the other quarterbacks were that were fending off these rookie QBs. Jarrett Stidham has 4 starts in his NFL career, so it's not the greatest apples to apples comparison. But I do believe that it's not Bo Nix with the early lead at OTAs. I think Jarrett Stidham, if there was a game tomorrow, would be the Broncos starting quarterback. Now, the good news for Sean Payton and company is there's not a game tomorrow, so they have until early September to figure out who is the best quarterback that's going to give them the best chance of winning for Week 1 in Seattle against the Seahawks. But I'm going to push back on the idea that the front runner is Bo Nix. You may want Bo Nix because, let's be honest, we have a pretty good idea as to what Jarrett Stidham is as a quarterback, albeit a smallish sample size, just 4 starts. But Bo Nix, rookie quarterbacks, it's the unknown, right? It could be an all-time Hall of Fame quarterback. He could be a Paxton Lynch. But the unknown factor is what lures fans back to teams when they've been stinking for so long, because he could be great. And that is good enough for fans to buy in and have hope. So I think Bo Nix is going to be this team's starting quarterback at some point, and it's not going to take very long. But I am not going to stand or sit here and say, yeah, Bo Nix is dominating at OTAs. He is outperforming Jarrett Stidham, and he is the Broncos starting quarterback right now. No, I think it's still Jarrett Stidham. And listen, Nix could pass him in preseason. It could go into the regular season. But right now, it's not Bo Nix's job. I think it is still Jarrett Stidham as QB1. Now, I want to switch gears and talk about Courtland Sutton. So we also got an update from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler on what's going on with Courtland Sutton. So let me read it to you guys, and then I'll give you my thoughts. Quote, Courtland Sutton, this is a unique situation because they clearly want him there at his salary at about $13.6 million he's due in cash. He wants a little bit of a sweetener. They haven't done that yet, although I think that they may be open to that down the road. They have gotten trade inquiries on Sutton. They have rebuffed those up to this point. Will that change? We'll see if maybe there's an enticing offer closer to camp. Sutton has not been there at OTAs. It's voluntary. Mandatory minicamp would be the first real milestone in my eyes, like big one, that he would have skipped because it's mandatory and he'll get fined not a small amount of money. We're not talking like $5,000. We're talking about a good chunk of change if you skip mandatory minicamp. So if Sutton does not show up to mandatory minicamp June 11th to the 13th, we know just how serious he is about, at that point, a legitimate holdout. And I would start to get concerned about Sutton having a spot on this roster for 2024. If I were the Broncos, I wouldn't be in a rush to feel like Sutton deserves a sweetener, right? He's not making $0. Like $13 million for a guy that signed a 4-year, $60+ million extension, and 2021, 2022, he kind of stunk. Like, not stunk, but he scored 4 touchdowns combined over 2 seasons. And I know he's working his way back from a torn ACL, but they were a full plus season removed from that torn ACL at that stage. So, no, I'm not, if I were the Broncos, in a big rush to go, yeah, you're making $13.6 million. We know you had 10 touchdowns last year. You also had less than 800 yards, so you weren't some top 5 receiver in football, in my opinion. Let's toss an extra $2 million your way. The thing is, Courtland Sutton, he kind of has the Broncos by the balls because Bo Nix exists. And the Broncos need Bo Nix to be successful. Sean Payton needs Bo Nix to be successful. Sean Payton went to Broncos ownership and said, please pay Russell Wilson give or take $40 million to leave this city. That's a tough sell for an owner. But they did it because they believe that, hey, if this makes this football team better, money's not a problem. Could you imagine the conversation that the ownership and Sean Payton will have if Bo Nix stinks it this year and they go back to him and go, we paid Russell Wilson how much money? $39 million to get out of this city for you to find a better quarterback? And Bo Nix was worse than Russell Wilson? That's not going to be a pleasant conversation. So Sean Payton, he needs Bo Nix to have a really strong year. He needs Bo Nix to just show that he was a good pick at number 12. Like, he can be a rookie quarterback. There can be some growing pains, right? There can be some moments where it's like, that's unfortunate. But as long as he shows progress and he shows that there is real potential around him being a legitimate franchise quarterback, that's fine. Having Courtland Sutton miss that year would make it a whole lot difficult on Bo Nix, right? If his top 3 wideouts are Marvin Mims, who I think is going to have a really strong year, but I think he's going into his second year, and the guy had 350-ish yards last year and 1 touchdown. Josh Reynolds, who is at max a 700-yard guy, like that's his ceiling. And then Tim Patrick coming off a torn ACL and a torn Achilles, and rookie Troy Franklin. Like, if those are your top 4 guys, it's not going to be easy sledding for rookie quarterback Bo Nix. So Sutton knows he has the leverage here. The Broncos need Sutton more than Sutton needs the Broncos. Are they going to just toss him an extra $1.5 million because reports are he wants to get in that $15 million range into the $13.6 million? Possibly. The Broncos have not come across as anxious or nervous about this whatsoever. In front of the media, they've been very confident that this is no biggie, it'll get resolved, and hopefully it will. But if it goes into mandatory minicamp and it's not resolved, and Sutton skips those and takes the fines, we're going to have a long summer before training camp gets underway, wondering, does Bo Nix have his number one wide receiver in what's already a shaky-ish roster that doesn't have a lot of great depth at positions because they haven't had a first or second round draft pick for the most part the last few years outside of trading up for Marvin Mims? Like, that could be a problem. All right, that will do it for us on our at-home edition of Broncos Breakdown. I really appreciate everyone just kind of sticking with us here. Give us a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And hopefully when you see me tomorrow, I am back in the studios and American Airlines has figured its shit out.